सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारस्त्वन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Let us read the first verse, page 6. वेदो नित्यमधीयताम् तदुदितं कर्म स्वनुष्ठीयताम् तेनेशस्य विधीयताम् अपचितिः काम्ये मतिस्त्यज्यताम् पापौघः परिधूयताम् भवसुखे दोषोऽनुसन्धीयताम् आत्मेच्छा व्यवसीयताम् निजगृहात् तूर्णं विनिर्गम्यताम्। Vedo nityam adhiyatam. May you study the Vedas every day, meaning that there should be a study of scriptures of one form or the other in our daily routine. Perhaps Vedas we cannot study these days because they are not accessible to us. But something like Bhagavad Gita, even Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, or other texts. The purpose of these texts is one, to enable us to understand what the goal is, that life has a purpose, that there is a goal, that there have been a number of people, saints and sages and great people who achieved that goal, and the means as to how to achieve that goal. How people who have gone through this, what have they gone through? What is meant by dharma, for example, righteousness, but Ramo Vigrahavan Dharma. It is said that Lord Rama is the embodiment of dharma. Our Swami used to say, dharma walking and talking is Lord Rama. So it teaches what it is to be a father, what it is to be a son, what it is to be a husband, what it is to be a wife, what all it takes to really play these roles according to script. And we find from Ramayana, Mahabharata and such other texts as to how following dharma, righteousness, values of life is not easy. It involves quite a lot of sometimes pain or suffering in life, and how great people accepted this suffering and did not sacrifice dharma, the righteousness, and what ultimately was the result? That dharma alone wins, satyameva jayate, truth alone wins, nanrutam, falsehood never wins. Although in the battle of Ramayana we find now and then the Rakshasas winning, in Mahabharata also, but ultimately it is the truth or the righteousness that wins. So we should have an exposure, a regular exposure to these texts which keep on validating, emphasizing, and thus enabling us to gain a certain amount of commitment to a life of dharma, a life of righteousness, because commitment is extremely important. Our Swami was talking about value of values. So not only the values are important, but the value of values is that how these values are valuable to us personally. It may be to Lord Rama and to Pandavas, and it may be. But whether these values are valuable to me, this is what I have to say. To assimilate the importance of these values in my life, contribution of the values in the goal of happiness and success that I am seeking, how these contribute to the very goal I am seeking in life. So learning, in short, there should be constant learning in our life. They say that we should have the company of great minds, those great sages, other people who have written these great books, be in constant contact with them. And so that our thinking also becomes clearer, our understanding becomes clearer, our conviction becomes stronger. There was study, and we are lifetime students. So how many, Swamiji, how long is this course? They ask. Or at home also sometimes, this spouse asks, so how long is Gita course is there? How long are you going to go to these classes? So, because sometimes their convenience is somewhat sacrificed, and though they get a bit irritated. But there is not a course, so are they going to give some certificate? No certificate, no course, it's a lifelong journey, lifelong learning. Our Swami used to say, clarity is the name of the game, and therefore clarity. As you keep learning, understanding, thinking, clarity comes, conviction comes, and it's easier to put it into practice. Karmasvanushthiyatam, a value for sushtvanushthiyatam. We perform the karma, the duty, very well. Do not compromise. In simple words, do what is right, whether you like it or not. In every situation, more often than not, there are choices. What is right and what I like, or what is right and what is convenient. And we are often tempted to take the convenient path because there are temptations in our life. There are also a threshold to the extent to which we are willing to go through the inconveniences in life, pain in life, and there is a tendency to let go, take liberty. So mind has a tendency to take liberty, a little bit. So even though I half an hour TV I'll watch, 40 minutes is okay, 45 minutes is okay. That's how the mind takes liberty. So do what is right, whether you like it or not, or whether it is convenient or not. Karma svanushthiyatam. Perform your duties and everything that you do well. Tene ishasya apachitihi vidyatam. Make your life itself an apachitihi, a puja, a worship of Ishvara. Let every action that I perform, I remember. Lord Krishna says, Tat kurusva madarpanam. Yat karoshi, yad ashnasi, yad juhoshi, dadasi yat, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. He kaunteya, he Arjuna, whatever you do, yajna, dana, tapaha. Yajna, the offerings that you make to devatas, dhanam, the charity, tapaha, the austerities, whatever you eat, or whatever you do it in such a manner that it becomes an offering to me. Meaning bringing Ishvara into our life. Recognizing Ishvara's grace that we are enjoying. How without even our asking, how he is constantly supporting us, sustaining us. The whole universe has been created in that manner, in fact, to fulfill my needs. How things all come together. So I can appreciate the grace of Ishvara in my life. In the past and in the present also. And there was a sense of gratitude. And so that Ishvara is constantly giving you, and then your life also may become an offering to Ishvara. Kamye matistyajyata. In Vedas we find the mention of different kinds of karmas or actions. One is called nitya karma. Nitya karma means the duties that we are supposed to perform every day. This morning we talked about the 5 kinds of offerings that is called Panchakam, meaning the 5 offerings we are supposed to make. Those days, of course, there was a structure. Every day you perform a homa and make offering to devatas, that's called Deva Yajna. Every day you repeat the Vedas that you studied. Learn and teach the Vedas, called the Brahma Yajna. Yajna, offering to Brahma, Rishis or the Vedas. Pitru Yajnas, making offerings to the ancestors. Nru Yajna, serving the needy members of the human society. And therefore, Atithi Devo Bhava, look upon Atithi, a guest also, as a Devata. Have the value that you are privileged and therefore you should reach out to those who are needy. And Bhuta Yajna, also recognizing the contribution that other beings have, other creatures have in your life. And so feeding the, offering grass to the cows and the grains to the birds. This used to be routine, in the life of the people formerly. Nowadays, I think our whole lifestyle, at the same time, the city, dwelling, urban dwelling, etc., doesn't even allow us to do these things. But otherwise, in the village setup, all this was possible. And in form, this may not be possible, but in spirit, awareness. So this is a tradition which is very aware of the environment and our harmony with the environment. An awareness of how the environment, nature constantly blesses us, and therefore how we should also have the spirit of worshipping the nature, worshipping everything. Kamye matistyajyata. So nitya karma. Naimitya karma means the same duties you perform, duties on special occasions. And so there are special days like month of Shravana when people observe, fast. On that day also Ekadashi, there will be something special. Or the Sankashta Chaturthi, something special. It's called nimitta. Every day you do your worship and things like that, but on these days you do something special. Shivaratri, something special. Janmashtami, something special. Adhikama, something special. Nimitte karma. In Vedas, on the Purnima and Amavasya, and when the Chaturmasya begins, and there are special ceremonies or rituals we perform. Then this Nitya karma, nimitta is one category. Then kamya karma, the actions performed to fulfill our desires, our needs. Now one is that we are required to fulfill our responsibilities, that is one thing. But kama here means my personal ambitions and personal gratification. When I am a father or parent, then it is my duty to raise the children, take care of their well-being, support them, sustain them. That will not be called kamya karma. It's my part of duty. But what I do for my personal gratification in terms of, sense gratification, ego gratification, we talked about this morning, this kamana means gratification, sense, self-gratification, what we call kamana. And that kamana or the need for self-gratification arises because, as you said in the morning, I do not feel gratified within myself. I'm not comfortable with myself, not happy with myself. And therefore, I need something else to make me happy, to entertain me. So formerly the idiot box to entertain me. But now there are so many boxes there. So many distractions are there. All these distractions, there is nothing wrong in the technology, and it empowers us in many ways. But if you do not observe the sense of proportion, yuktahara viharasya, Lord Krishna says that there should be a sense of proportion and therefore a measure in everything that we do. Moderation in everything that we do. And when we do not observe those boundaries, then we get taken over or we get controlled. So, the social media or the technology gives us a lot of empowerment, but then, as the rule goes, what is progress is converting luxuries into necessities. So what is luxury at one point, in course of time becomes necessity, meaning I cannot do without that. So thus we become more and more dependent. So this is where we will see that I should always be independent. There must be freedom in every interaction. You can enjoy what you want, but then tena tyaktena bhunjitaha. You enjoy things in life in moderation, but then retain your freedom. You eat the food, let the food not eat you. That's what they would say. So thus this is kamana is craving. Something that I cannot control, and actions performed for fulfilling these cravings. What is called kamya karma. It's called binding desires. Craving is binding because more we try to satisfy the craving, stronger the craving becomes. It's a rule. And that being the case, I become more and more bound or dependent. And therefore, slowly extricate yourself from the actions performed to fulfill the cravings. Do not give justification to the craving. Every time the craving comes in the mind, then subject it to discrimination. And keep the mind under control. Draw the boundaries. So right away, Vedanta would not say that you give up all the pleasures. But to begin with, draw the boundaries. As you say it in moderation, that this much I will indulge, and not more than that. So I will allow this much pleasure, but then this much liberty I will allow, and not more than that. Thus we have to draw the boundaries. And ultimately, it says overcome the need for performing actions to fulfill that, the inner craving, meaning that progressively become free from craving. Let us proceed further, we will understand that a little more. So then we go to the third line, Papaugah paridhuyadam. Oga means samuha, multitude of. Papa means the sin. So Papaugah, the sum or the multitude of the papas. So Papa can be generally translated as Papa and Punya. The actions are classified as Punya and Papa, virtue and vice. Papa can be translated as sin, as long as we understand what this sin means. It's not the technical sin, that we are all sinners, born sinners, etc. No, that sin is different. It's a technical word. Here, Papa means an action that is performed in violation to the order of life, in violation to the values would be called Papa. So anything that we violate the law is unlawful. Papa means there is a moral order. And when we violate that moral order, it would be an immoral action that would be called Papa because it produces a painful result. Punya results into pleasure and Papa results into pain. That's the general rule. So Papaugah paridhuyadam. Apparently we have brought with us or inherited a lot of punya and papa both. Said that the human birth is the product of the past, punya and papa. In the past, we must have done a lot of virtuous actions also, which may have enabled us or qualified us to gain this human birth, which is most precious. But then there are not only pleasure but pain also in our life. The pain that we experience in life is the result of papa. Papa and punya. Although our usual conclusion is that some X, Y, Z, somebody is giving me pain, some situation is giving me pain, some person is giving me pain, some outcome is giving me pain, or something is giving me pleasure. But the rule is that it is punya karma and my punya karma which gives me pleasure and my papa karma that gives me pain. Swami, I am like that. So this is again not meant to blame ourselves. It is just to understand that papa and punya, this is what we are made up of. As a matter of fact, when we are enjoying ice cream or kulfi, which gives us pleasure, there also, it is only my past punya karma. When it fructifies, that gives me pleasure. Ice cream or kulfi or something becomes merely an occasion for giving me pleasure. Because when papa karma comes at that time, fructifies, no, I don't want ice cream. Even if you give me ice, I don't want ice cream. Or maybe I am suffering, I have some cold, cough, something like that. I love ice cream. But then I'm suffering from cold, I can't eat it. Meaning that punya karma is not fructive as papa karma is showing its effect. So punya and papa. So even things do not give me happiness or unhappiness, my punya karma makes this thing a nimitta or an instrument for giving me happiness. This thing does not give me happiness, this only triggers some punya karma which gives me happiness, and that does not give me pain or unhappiness, again it triggers some papa karma that gives me the pain. So punya and papa, human being is a mixture of both. But here, what we mean by papa karma, because here we are talking about a person who is a mumukshu, meaning whose goal is moksha, liberation, freedom, who is seeking knowledge in life. So in this case, papa will be those obstacles which come in the way of our spiritual pursuit, our pursuit of knowledge, or which come in the way of doing what is right. Even in the situation, I know what is right. And still very often I take the liberty and I do what is convenient. It's all my papa karma that pressurizes me to do this. So, this papa karma creates a pressure to violate the dharma, to take the convenient path, to take the shortcut. Is it papa that makes my mind disturbed? The rajoguna, rajas arises, my mind gets disturbed, agitated. Tamoguna. So, this papa can be summarized as raga and dvesha. Raga means attachment, meaning that I cannot do without something, and dvesha means aversion, I cannot stand something. I cannot do without this, I must, and therefore, even if it is not with me, my mind keeps on thinking about that. Because it's very important for my comfort or sense of security, sense of happiness. I depend upon this. At the same time, this one is just the opposite, and therefore it creates in me discomfort, unhappiness, insecurity. I hate it. So a relationship of love and hate, attachment and aversion, raga and dvesha, which we have plenty from the past. So here, by the word papa is meant raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion. So when attachment arises for some person, for something, then also my mind becomes occupied with that as to how to get it, how to hold it, how to enjoy it, how not to let it go. When there is attachment for something, when I look upon something as a source of happiness. Basic attachment is for happiness. But whatever I look upon as source of happiness also becomes an object of attachment. Basic dvesha is for unhappiness. When I look upon something or somebody as a source of unhappiness, that becomes an object of my dislike. Both of these likes and dislikes, attachment, aversion, both of these are called papa, because when they arise in my mind gets distracted. It cannot think of Atma, always thinks of Anatma. Raga can be only for Anatma, dvesha also can be. Attachment can be only for non-self, and aversion also can be for non-self. It's interesting that with me there cannot be either attachment or aversion. Well, Swami, I love my little finger. I hate this finger. Generally it wouldn't, for a normal person that would not be so. Because this is also myself, and there is also myself. So there cannot be partiality of one part, that I don't mind my leg, let it get hurt, I don't care. I always protect my head. Or let my fingers, that's something. We always love the self. There is no attachment. No, so if you want to know what is meant by freedom from attachment and aversion, then we have to look at our relation with ourselves. There is the relation of love. We always love the self. And that's called love, where there is no either attachment or aversion. So attachment can be for the non-self, and aversion also only can be for the non-self. So when the mind of attachment arises, because I look upon something as a source of happiness or comfort or security, in whose presence I feel comfortable, in whose presence I have a sense of security, in whose presence I feel happy, becomes important to me. In whose presence I feel unhappy, uncomfortable, insecure, then there is an immediate impulse to get rid of it. So acquire and get rid of. Acquire the object of attachment, get rid of object of aversion. So when either attachment or aversion arises, my mind thinks of that object which is non-self, other than myself. Meaning the ragas and dveshas keep our mind always engaged in something other than the self. What we want is a mind that is focused upon the self, inward looking mind, inwardly abiding the mind. So, papauga paridhuyadam. May you remove or eliminate this papauga, this whole host of papa or raga or dvesha. One simple method of becoming free from this raga dvesha, attachment and aversion, is called prasada buddhi. Prasada means the grace of Ishvara. Prasada, of course, is something that we get in the temple from a priest. It's called prasada. And it is generally understood that we always respect prasada, meaning that when prasada comes to us, we have a sense of being blessed. Swami used to say, that when a big laddu comes, bundi, no way, too much sugar, Swamiji, no. No, this comes from Tirupati. All right, that I will have. Because Tirupati laddu is prasad, it's not laddu. Meaning that is called prasada. That's a matter of our upbringing, of course, but assuming that that's something that I feel blessed. Because there is Ishvara in my life and I feel blessed when the blessing of that prasada brings blessing or grace of Ishvara. It comes on an altar and brings the grace of Ishvara. So similarly also prasada buddhi. Lord Krishna says, Siddhi siddhyoho samobhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Siddhi means success, asiddhi means failure. So Lord Krishna says that this is called dvandva or pairs of opposites. Success and failure is one pair of opposite. But usually in our life, we keep on confronting these pairs of opposites, like two sides of a coin. Either success or failure, gain or loss, victory or defeat, honor or dishonor, praise or censure. One of the two. Meaning that whether it has become our habit to judge everything that comes to us in one of the other ways. Either we call it success or failure. It's my personal standpoint, but then I judge a situation as success or failure. The way you treat me, I judge as respect or disrespect. What you tell me, I judge it as censure or praise. Honor, dishonor. So this is every moment, whatever it is that we encounter, we judge that as one of these two. You'll now observe. Rarely there is something neutral. There can be neutral attitude also. For example, when this thing comes, it neither creates either, attachment or aversion. But usually, a situation is judged by my mind. It is my personal standpoint to judge a situation as one of the pairs of opposites, success and failure, or gain and loss, victory and defeat, honor and dishonor. This is what I can. This is called Jagat, this is called creation, that's called life. Because life is like a wheel, Nichair gacchadi, uparichasa, chakranemi kramena. Like that, the rim of the wheel goes from bottom to top, down to up. So sometimes pleasure, sometimes pain, sometimes happiness, unhappiness, success, failure. That is how life is. There cannot be success all the time. Cannot be failure all the time also. Yes, Swami, I am a failure. All the time. Our Swami was joking, So he says once he was invited for Bhiksha and they were all sitting on a dining table. So other people also were there. The host was sitting beside Swamiji. Tells in ear, Swamiji's ear, you know that fellow? Because he is a failure. That was his son. He is a failure. So Swamiji says, that's a new creature called failure. Let me see how it looks like. So what is failure? Means one who always fails. That's called failure. So then that fellow, broke his paratha into two. Oh, that worked out all right. So he didn't fail in that. He took it paratha and dipped in the dal or something. That was successful. Put it in mouth. Successful. He masticated. Successful. He swallowed. Successful. Where is failure? I find that this fellow succeeds in everything that does, So, what is failure? Failure means the one who fails in everything. It's all branding. And so, success, failure are all individual, personal brandings. But anyway, we are accustomed to doing that. Our mind will brand everything. The moment it comes, we judge, number one. That's the nature of our intellect, to judge everything. We are told to be non-judgmental, but we cannot but be judgmental. We have to judge. And so we'll judge. Favorable and anukulam, pratikulam. Anukula, favorable. Pratikula, unfavorable. This is how I brand. And I react. Once we brand, and then we react. Anukulam, then I embrace it. I welcome it. Pratikulam, I fight with it, or I reject it. So abhinandati nad abhinandanam and dvesha, either always embracing the situation or discarding the situation. Both are reactions in our mind. And this is something to be observed in our own mind. Every moment this happens. Every moment the mind keeps on judging, because I am always the center in my life. And I judge everything whether it suits me or not. Whether this thing is in the right place or in the not place. This thing, why is the second thing? My mind keeps on commenting about everything. Why is this thing here? I already have one here. How come this second thing came? And this, and then whatever, it depends on your mind, but then how come that person is not looking at me? How come that person keeps on laughing? Not smiling. Something of the commentary goes on in my mind constantly. It is my own complex, my own strong need to be accepted and approved by the world, and I keep on judging whether the world accepts me or not, approves me or not, likes me or not. Commentary goes on, and accordingly I react. So to somebody I smile, and somebody I am stern, depends on how I judge that person. It's amazing how we constantly keep on reacting. So Lord Krishna says, Siddha Siddho Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. May we remain even-minded in success and failure, meaning all pairs of opposites. Let them come and go. Tam Stitikshasva Bharata. At one Lord Krishna said, may you put up with it. Let the wheel of the world keep on changing, let it be favorable, unfavorable, let it be what it is. But you do not become identified with it, do not judge that, nor judge yourself with that. Remain neutral. Better than that, accept that as prasada, as grace of Ishvara. So pain comes in my life also as grace of Ishvara, the pleasure also comes as grace of Ishvara. Swami, pleasure is okay, that is grace, but how can pain be grace of Ishvara? Happiness is okay, I understand. Why do they ask us to become free from both happiness and unhappiness? Why? Only unhappiness. Why? Happiness is good, is it not? But what happiness we are asked to become free? Happiness that comes from other source. If something can make me unhappy, that thing also can make me unhappy. Something makes me happy because I judge that as favorable. Next moment, if I judge that unfavorable, the very same thing can make me unhappy also. Meaning, become free from dependence upon everything for your happiness and unhappiness. Discover happiness from your own self. That's the whole idea. And therefore, accept pleasure and pain. Favorable, unfavorable. Success and failure. All of that as nothing but prasada, as grace of Ishvara. Don't react. Don't judge it. And really, just by the way, failure is not our problem. If I do something when my endeavor does not succeed, we may call it failure. As long as my endeavor has failed, so long there is no problem. That something, success is there and failure is there, is not our problem. Something becomes our problem when we join I with that. When I am joined with that, meaning that when I judge myself successful or I judge myself failure, that is when that situation becomes a problem. If success and failure are the nature of a situation, all right. But when success is there, what happens next step? I say, I am successful. When failure is there, I am failure. So that is what causes pain. I am failure causes pain. I am success causes pleasure. Both of these are result of superimposition upon I. So don't judge yourself. Success also is there, failure also is there. This person insulted me. No, insult is your judgment. You insulted me. You said something. I interpret that as an insult. Is it not so? Don't interpret. You said something. Our Swami used to say, Om Tat Sat. Meaning that, put a full stop. That person said this, Om Tat Sat. But no, I don't stop there. He said it. But he insulted me. Now that means I added something. Oh, I stop it there. Who is he to insult me? Our sentence doesn't get complete. There is a comma and colon and semicolon and dash. It goes on and on. He insulted me. Who is he to insult me? And then let me see. Next time he meets me, what am I going to do? Thus it goes on and on and on. Just put a stop. First he said it, full stop. Then I go ahead. He insulted me, which is again my projection. All right, insulted, full stop. Who is it to insult me? Again, that's my projection. Full stop. He cannot do that. Then in my mind then, I plan as to how to retaliate, how to take, settle the account with that person. He will find out what it is. Just stop it. Stop. Om Tat Sat. Somebody did not work out. Om Tat Sat. No, I did not work out because Swami, I am like that. I'm always like that. So then I keep on bashing and bashing myself. All of this disturbs the mind. So says, become free from any kind of projection. Do not judge the situation. If you judge that, at least don't judge yourself. Stay away from this self-judgment. Let situation be what it is. Is success? Is there. Failure? Is there. Honor? Is there. Dishonor? Is there. There's a constant attempt to become free from reactions, from this reacting mind. The reactions are a result of raga, dvesha or papa, and thus slowly become free from reactions. Then we become what? Rajas, tamas goes away. The mind slowly becomes tranquil. Lord Krishna says, samatvam yoga uchyate, sameness of the mind, tranquility of the mind. So when the mind thus becomes, then it becomes thinking mind. Not a projecting mind, a thinking mind. Right away I project upon a situation as favorable, unfavorable, pleasure, pain, happiness, unhappiness. When I stop doing that, then I will be able to understand the situation of what it is. And so the verse says further, bhavasukhe dosha anusandhiyata. Now with this kind of an objective mind, what is an objective mind? A mind that does not superimpose, a mind that does not judge, a mind that appreciates things for what it is. Our habit is to always color it with raga and dvesha. When we don't do that, then we can become objective. And then here the teacher says, bhavasukhe dosha anusandhiyata. May you see the limitation inherent in the bhavasukha. Sukha means pleasure. Bhava means world, the worldly pleasures. The pleasure or so-called happiness that appears to come from the world. It may come from the people, come from events, come from achievements, accomplishments, ego gratification, emotional gratification, sense gratification. All of these will be worldly pleasures. These days, of course, Swarga or heaven is not in our radar, so we need not worry about it. In Vedic time, that also used to be a consideration. People planning for Swarga. So they put up with a lot of difficulty here in performing rituals. Vedic rituals mean you keep on offering and a lot of smoke is, so a lot of smoke is, a lot of discomfort is involved. But they put up with that because after death I'll go to heaven. These days we don't care for heaven because we don't believe in that basically. That is because we don't believe in heaven and hell. It's convenient not to believe in those things because otherwise something more you worry about. So these days we worry about moon and Mars, etc. Man, there is a colony in the moon and colony in Mars. And now our latest is what? Rocket, huh? Yeah. No, make rockets to go to Mars and commute with there and create a colony there, etc. Why? I don't know, but anyway. Something different. Our definition of Swarga has changed. For Indian people, America is Swarga. Feeling that Canada is Swarga. Feeling that Australia is Swarga. Feeling that New Zealand is Swarga. Feeling that then now they come to England. And feeling that they come now to Germany. Feeling that they come to France. And then they come to Russia. Some place like that, Different, anything other than India is Swarga. But Sukha is the same thing. Bhava Sukhe, understand that nothing really is capable of giving me happiness or unhappiness. It is my projection alone which makes me feel happy or unhappy. I brand something as favorable and then feel happy in its presence. I brand something unfavorable or feel unhappy in its presence. That's the fundamental thing. Otherwise also, there is a verse in Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna describes this bhavasukha or the pleasure coming from worldly objects. Lord Krishna says, Yehi samsparshaja bhogaha dukkhayo naye evate. Here Arjuna, whatever pleasure comes from sense objects or things other than you, understand that they are all, in fact, the cause of all misery. Just being practical, eating looking forward to something that I enjoy. For example, a new car, for a young man, maybe a new car, maybe a new BMW or something that he's looking forward to. But it doesn't come free, it requires a lot of money, so he works hard to save money and then get some loan and so working hard for quite some time to save money for that car. It involves pain, of course. And then when the car comes, of course, there is ecstatic. But then slowly that ecstasy starts wearing out. As the mind gets used to things, that's the nature of mind, gets used to anything. So my what is a BMW gives me a lot of excitement on the first day, second day, for a week or 2 weeks, and then slowly I start getting used to it. Then the excitement slowly subsides. After 6 months it becomes a routine thing. Everybody has, what's the big deal about that? A new house, same thing. In the beginning, a lot of excitement, and slowly then we get used to that. Now what next? Then mind wants something else. You get that, then you get used to that. Mind wants something else. We realize that the capacity of anything to give happiness always diminishes. The law of diminishing return. In the beginning, something is very exciting. In course of time, it loses its appeal to us and the mind wants something else. This is a trend that we have to observe in life. For those people who are always planning for excitement in a life, or something that is exciting, something that is pleasing. So, even when you are enjoying also, there is always a lot of anxiety involved. Because this new car also, then you have to be, every day I observe, in the parking lot, did somebody put a scratch here, and this, that. When we get it, and then protection also is a problem. So getting involves a lot of pain, having gotten something, to keep it safe or protecting also also involves anxiety. Like they used to joke, you go to temple in India, your slippers are outside there. And so he says, Shuklam Bradhanam Vishnu. Shashivarnam. One part of the mind is always in his shoes, because somebody will take away. It's a universal thing. Meaning that when you have something, it always causes how to protect it. So pain in acquiring, pain in protecting. And then a day comes when you are separated from that. Separation also is painful. So generally speaking, the pleasure supposedly coming from an object of pleasure involves much more pain than pleasure. And ultimately Lord Krishna says that even when that car seems to give you happiness, understand that happiness does not come from the car, it comes from your own self. How? Because when my mind was craving at that time, I felt, agitated. When the car comes in, agitation so subside for a moment. Mind becomes quiet, inward looking. And therefore, it comes face to face with its own self. That object always dragged away the mind from myself. And therefore I was restless. When something desirable comes, momentarily, mind becomes inward looking. It experiences their own self, and thus that object becomes only instrument in enabling to enjoy myself. Meaning when I'm enjoying my ice cream, I'm enjoying myself. If the punya karma is there. Meaning that ultimately we should understand that the only source of happiness is the self. Only consciousness can give happiness. Unconscious thing cannot give happiness. If unconscious thing seems to give happiness, it's only by bringing the mind to myself, and it is the self that I'm enjoying. This dosha. So contemplate one, think deeply about the happiness that seems to be coming from the objects and achievements of life. What an amount of pain is involved in that. And ultimately also delusion to believe that it gives me happiness, because happiness only comes from myself. So bhava sukhe, the mind normally that keeps on always thinking, planning about sukha or happiness coming from some worldly things, dosha, understand the dosha or the defect, or the blemish, or the disadvantage, or the pain, or the damage that is involved, because then it makes me, once I get it, my mind wants more and more of it, I become more and more dependent upon that. It's like addiction. So it is nice to talk about people who are addicted to these opioids, what is it, all these drugs and stuff like that. It's easy, but we are all part of it. Thank God that we are not addicted to cocaine and heroin and stuff like that. But then our relationship with all the objects is one of only addiction. Because I feel happy when it comes and not happy when it does not come. If the water is the right temperature, I am happy. Not right temperature, I am not happy. It starts from there for everything. And thus, if the food right amount of salt, happy. Not happy. My happiness all depends upon other things. So understand that I am addicted to those things to make me happy, because I am incapable of making myself happy. Vedanta wants us to develop the capacity to to gain happiness from our own self, which is the real source of happiness. So whenever the mind wants something of pleasurable, make the mind think what is the benefit and what is the damage involved here. Bhavasukhe dosha anusandhyatam. Anusandhyatam, anusandhanam. May you think about it again and again. Because the mind which is accustomed to or habitually seeking happiness from the things will not just right away give it up. So again and again we have to make the mind think. So this is Virajya Vishavrata, the dosha dushtya muhur muhuhu. Viveka Chudamani says, again and again look at the dosha, the defects, the blemishes, the damage, the disadvantage involved in seeking and gaining pleasure from something other than you. Thus the mind becomes inward looking, objective. Viveka, discrimination happens. Then I realize that only self is the source of happiness. Atma is the source of happiness. Meaning what I am seeking is limitless happiness or unconditional happiness. Where is that? It is in the self. So this is what the mind now discovers. What is theoretically true becomes a matter of my experience, that I realize that yes, the happiness comes from myself. Because my mind has become free from raga dvesha, has become inward looking and experiences its own self, then I am convinced that happiness or freedom is in myself, in the self. And therefore, it is self that I have to gain, not non-self. So it says, Atmecha Vyavasiyatam. Vyavasiyatam. Vyavasaya means nischaya. Nischaya means ascertainment. Let there be ascertainment, commitment, Atmecha, or desire for Atma. Meaning all the desires now slowly get transformed into desire for Atma. Desires are there, and desires are for pleasure or happiness. Right now the mind wants a million things for its happiness. But when I then subject my mind to thinking as to what is the real source of happiness, then I see that it is Atma that is the source of happiness. So through all the desires, what I am desiring is really desiring myself. I have to see this fact. That behind desire for anything, really there is desire for the self. Behind desire for anything, there is desire for freedom. Behind any desire, there is desire for the unconditional happiness, unconditional freedom, and that is the nature of the self. That's called Viveka. This Viveka or discrimination arises. The desire behind all the desires really is ultimately desire for myself. Now that becomes Vyavasiyata, that becomes my conviction. Right now we understand all right. But as we put this into practice, that as the mind becomes more inward looking, then becomes my conviction that yes, happiness is myself. And therefore, I have to gain it from myself by knowledge now. The desire for achievements, happiness gets transformed into desire for knowledge. Atmecha vyavasiyatam, may there be vyavasaya, an ascertainment, a determination that what I want in my life is Atma, and that is by now knowledge is like a 10th man is to be gained by knowledge and not by karma, not by action. So there's you can say slowly transformation taking place. And a complete transformation has taken place in my mind, that all my desires now have reduced to one desire, and that is the desire for the self. Both ways. Intellectually I understand, and experientially also I see. Experientially because my mind has become inward looking. My mind now does experience the cheerfulness within myself. Therefore now it is my conviction that yes, happiness is my nature, and therefore I have to abide in that. Atmecha vyavasiyadam, may there be vyavasaya, a determination, a ascertainment for the Atmecha means for the desire for the knowledge of the self. Self-knowledge. May self-knowledge become the most important to you. And we can remind ourselves as to what is the basic problem in my life. We can say that sadness or unhappiness is a problem in the human life. Basic human problem is the sadness. Call it sadness, call it grief, call it unhappiness, and feeling frustrated, feeling dejected, feeling rejected, feeling insulted. All of these are nothing but manifestations of sadness. Even anger and jealousy, all of these are manifestations of sadness. So shoka, Adi Shankaracharya says in Bhagavad Gita that Bhagavad Gita addresses the primary problem of human being, and that is the grief. That's why the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. It describes Vishada or grief of Arjuna, or grief of a human being. That grief or shoka is my main problem. My unhappiness is my main problem. Sadness is my main problem. Grief is the main problem. And what is the cause of grief? What's the source of grief? Next is to understand that self-ignorance is the cause of all sadness or grief and nothing else. Nothing causes me sadness or griefness other than ignorance of myself. Not knowing that what I am seeking is my own self. Not recognizing or knowing that the happiness I am seeking is my own self, and I am seeking where it is not, and that's what causes grief. So recognition that it is self-ignorance which is our primary problem, and we have no other problem in life. The only problem in life of a human being is the problem of self-ignorance. All the grief and sadness and worries and anxieties and everything, all unhappiness comes from this ignorance. How can it be so? After all, this person treated me in a certain way and it makes me unhappy. What's wrong with that? I invested money and then I lost money and I'm unhappy. What's wrong with that? Is that a valid cause for unhappiness? Then we have to ask a little further. This person behaved in a certain way. That person insulted me. Okay. Insulted me means my ego. Insulted my knowledge. I was very proud of my knowledge. That fellow found out some hole in that and then I felt insulted. So what is insulted? My knowledge is insulted. Where is that knowledge? In my intellect. What is insulted? My intellect is insulted. Somebody said that there is something going on there, what, weightlifting, bodybuilding? And there is championship there, bodybuilding. And somebody will be declared a champion, other fellows will be all disappointed. And so I lost. What lost? The body, isn't it? So what was insulted? My knowledge, intellect was insulted. What lost was my body. We will find that where does all this thing ultimately touch? All pain either is due to the body or the mind or the intellect. What do I say? I am hurt, I am damaged, I am insulted. Meaning that I equate myself with my intellect. And then the insult that was made to intellect is interpreted as insult to myself. Don't touch me. Okay, I'm not touching, I'm touching my body. But then body is myself. So what is done to my body is done to myself. What is done to my emotion? Don't talk about my father. When these girls get married and all kinds of things happen at home, don't talk about my parents. So identification. All the unhappiness comes from identification with something which other than myself. Understand this. That I equate myself to the body, I equate myself to my mind, I equate myself to the intellect, and that is called ego. Whenever I identify, I equate myself with something, it is called ego. And it is ego that is successful, ego that is failure, ego that is insulted. All that happens to ego, which I equate to myself. So this is where ignorance comes. What does ignorance do? Ignorance creates identification. Not knowing the true nature of myself, I look upon myself wrongly. Not knowing that I am the 10th man, I find that I think I am a 9th man. Not knowing that I am limitless, I look on myself as a limited being, as a helpless creature. So thus these complexes about myself are all born of ignorance. Who am I? Various complexes. I am so and so. All these complexes. I am superior, inferior, success, failure, wealthy, poor. Whatever I think of myself, all of this is product of ignorance because it is born of identification with what I am not. Because this body, mind, sense complex is more like a costume that is given to me for interacting with the world. It's not myself. Like an actor putting on a costume of a king or a beggar or something, that is his costume. But because of taking a little too much inside, if you start saying that I am a beggar or I am a king, then that is a problem. That's called samsara. If the actor thinks I am a king, then he will, then he says we are, he will not say I, he says we. Now then his whole language changes. We will come, we will not sit down there, we will not do this, we will do that. Some kind of an air comes in his. Or if he is putting on the costume of beggar, thinks that I am beggar, he is miserable. Not because he is miserable, because he thinks he is a beggar. And thus similarly we entertain all kinds of notions about ourselves arising from identification with what we are not. This is the first product of ignorance. So from now on it will be interesting to ask me, Swamiji, I am very unhappy. Good. Who is unhappy? I am unhappy. The ego is unhappy. Why? Because somebody said this. So what? But that's insulted me. Which me? The body was insulted. My looks were insulted. My hair was insulted. My knowledge was insulted. My something was insulted. All of that falls in the category of non-self. Thus ignorance creates identification with the body, mind, sense complex. That creates all kinds of complexes or notions about myself. It is notional self that is miserable, not the true self. Unhappiness or sadness always belongs to the notional self and not to the true self that I am, which is Satchidananda, which cannot be touched by anything. Recognize this. And it is something which is very practical. Particularly when we feel unhappy, sad, defeated, insulted, frustrated. That's when we can pursue this line of thinking as to who is insulted, who is frustrated, who is defeated. Some notional self, that ego, which is a product of identifying with one or the other aspects of my personality. Then I'll realize the value of self-knowledge. Until then the value doesn't come. We keep on talking about self-knowledge all the time. But we still keep on blaming somebody for my unhappiness, somebody for this. We keep on blaming others. That means I look upon that as the source of unhappiness. I have not recognized it. It's my ignorance which is source of unhappiness. So when I am unhappy, naturally I retaliate by removing the cause of unhappiness, which is somebody else or something else. So I want to remove that, I want to attract that, one of the two. Not realizing that all this is a product of ignorance. Nobody is cause of unhappiness. Only my notion about myself. What makes me unhappy is my conclusion about myself, my self-judgment, my notions about myself. So this is a very important discovery in our life, that only source of unhappiness is self-ignorance, which creates self-complexes. Ignorance has two aspects. not knowing what the true nature of myself is, and second is taking myself to be quite contrary to what I am. Not knowing that I am the 10th man and taking myself to be the 9th man. Not knowing I am limitless and taking myself to be limited. This is the product of ignorance. At least Vedantins are required to do this much. We cannot justify blaming anybody or anything. Nor can we justify blaming ourselves. If something is to be blamed in life, it is ignorance. And I have not created ignorance, I am born ignorant, so I can't blame myself for being ignorant, at least. Usually we keep on dashing ourselves and bashing ourselves, that is the usual habit. But then I cannot bash myself being ignorant because I have not created ignorance. So trace all the problems of unhappiness to ignorance. Not repeat, see that fact. It is important that I make myself see this fact. That problem of unhappiness, sadness is all due to ignorance and nothing else. No, Swamiji, I don't have a job, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have this. Which I doesn't have that? A notional I. But if you knew who you are limitless. What do you mean you don't have? Everything is yours because you are everything. That's what Vedanta teaches us. But then, as long as I keep on repeating, I don't have this, I keep on branding myself and justifying that limitedness of myself, so long I cannot become free. Meaning that I keep on justifying my ignorance. So recognition that self-ignorance is the problem. Atmecha, then the desire for self-knowledge becomes strong. It must become a strong desire, not just a passing desire, because the other desires take over us. And the self-knowledge also, as long as in this class and here in the retreat, etc., this will have some effect on the mind. Once we walk out of here, other things will, Swami, we have to live our life after all, so other things will take over us. The priorities will change. We are not saying that you should not live your life, not that you should not do things, but this must become very clear. There is no problem in my life other than self-ignorance. There is no solution other than self-knowledge. Vyavasiyatam, this vyavasaya, this nischaya, this ascertainment has to happen. Atmecha vyavasiyatam, this is called viveka. Viveka brings about vairagya. Then more and more value for the self-knowledge. And less value for other things. A time should come when self-knowledge should become the most important for us. And we alone can do that. By tracing every problem to ignorance. So sage Narada approaches in Chandogya Upanishad, there is this description. When Devarshi Narada, the divine sage, not ordinary sage, divine sage Narada approaches Sanat Kumara and says, Soham Bhagavad Shochami, Tanmam Bhagavan Shokasya Param Tarayatu. I, Narada, such as this, who are you? Oh, I know everything in the world. Sanat Kumara asked him, please tell me what all you know. Then I'll tell you what you need to know. So I know Rug Veda, Yajurveda, Samveda, every branch of knowledge Narada says, Narada knew, including dancing, art, everything. All kinds of, vidyas he had. And well known in the whole universe as sage Narada, Devarshi Narada. Soham, I suggest that, not an ordinary person, most accomplished person that Narada that I am, that accomplished one, Shochami, I am grieving. Meaning that all those accomplishments also have not made me free from grief. And why have you come to me? Shrutam heva, I have heard from the great sages like you. Tardishokam atmavita. Shrutam heva bhavadrushebhya. From great sages like you I have heard Tardi shokam atmavid, that the knower of self crosses the ocean of grief. I come to you, I'm grieving. In spite of every accomplishment in life, I'm still grieving. So we have to just see how I'm grieving. I don't want to impose that I'm grieving, but then recognize that the grief pervades my life. That whenever I'm dissatisfied, whenever I'm complaining, whenever I'm angry, whenever I'm jealous, whenever I'm not in mood, all of that is nothing but manifestation of grief. That grief pervades my life. Soham bhagava shochami. In spite of all the accomplishments in my life, I have not become free from grief. Tanman bhagavan shokasya param tarayatu. And therefore, so it was very clear what he wanted. He did not say, give me self-knowledge, but says, please make me cross the ocean of grief. I've heard from great sages like you that the knowledge of self enables one to cross the grief. Please help me cross the ocean of grief. Meaning, give me self-knowledge. Well, the grief is recognized as the primary human problem. And we have to recognize what grief means. Not only when we are crying and weeping, etc., but any time we are unhappy, we are sad, we feel hurt, we feel insulted, we feel not good, not in mood, etc. All of these are nothing manifest. So grief pervades our life. So dukkham, 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 sukham. A little bit of, a momentary happiness comes in between when some punya karma fructifies. Otherwise, dukkham, or the grief, is what pervades our life. We don't know to paint a negative picture. This is a realistic picture. They say Vedantis are all negative people. You don't have you don't know how to live life and how to enjoy life. And these people always paint the life in a very negative manner. But the fact that I am seeking something itself is grief. I want something means that I am lacking something. When would I want something? Only when there is lack or want inside, incompleteness inside, inadequacy inside, is it not so? That shows that I am inadequate, I am wanting, I am lacking. And I don't like myself. I don't like a lacking, wanting self. This dissatisfaction itself is grief. What else is? I am not satisfied with myself. Therefore I want millions of things. What is happiness? Self-satisfaction is happiness. And that comes only when I recognize the true nature of myself. As this morning our friend quoted Nirajana, Atmaneva Atmana Tushtaha, describing a wise person, the one who is happy with himself, by himself. So recognizing this, Atmecha Vyavasiyatam, let self-knowledge become the most important. Let all the desires be reduced to the desire for knowledge of the self. Let that become the priority for you. Unless it becomes priority, it will always be shunted. It will have some time now and then. We will have some place for self-knowledge and other things take over because it is one of the desires. Right now there is a desire, but it is one of the desires. It should become the only desire. Atmecha, that's called Vyavasaya. Vyavasaya means determination. Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. Lord Krishna Bhagavad Gita is called Vyavasaya. Here Arjuna, on this path, the Vyavasaya, there is only one determination, one conviction that does not change. So, thus this is what we call an emotionally mature person. This is what the life of activity gives us. If we live life intelligently with the way we were told, then it will culminate into this desire or a strong desire for self-knowledge. That is called, as the mind becomes pure, antahkarana shuddhi, purification of mind, mind becomes sattvic, impurities as they leave, then the desires change. When mind becomes sattvic or pure, then there arises desire for the self, called vividisha, veditum ichcha, the desire for knowledge. Then you are ready for the next stage of life. From now you become vanaprastha, then you become a sannyasi. So then describes now, so first Veda, study Veda, brahmacharya. And all the other things are life of activity, grihastha. Now comes what? Vanaprastha, life of retirement. Then comes life of sannyasa. So what is the retirement? Several now statements describe what is the life of retirement. We'll continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. See, we are telling you all this because you have no choice but to listen to us, So, when you have a, what do you call, which audience is it? The captive audience. In public talks, generally we don't emphasize, it's a little different emphasis. But a captive audience, no choice for next 2 days. You have to, otherwise you can walk out. Evening talk, the next day you don't appear. But here at least you are committed. And therefore, we can take some liberty with you. And say things that may not be most pleasant also, or most palatable, but which are required sometimes also to be heard or to be thought about. And therefore, so anyway, that is the reason why the nature of discussion this evening. And next session is our chanting session. Let me see. Yeah. What are we? Where are we? 6 to 7 evening prayer and arati. Oh, okay. That's interesting.